Yeah, supermarket was
Hi, I'm Craig Butler, professional football manager and father to top international players. Football coach to Jamaica's youngest and most talented players. Jamaica, why haven't we started the Premier League when the rest of the world has started? You want people starved to death? Consistency is key to development. Anyone who says otherwise is utter madness. Is a mad people. We have a Football Unfiltered exclusive. Leon Daly, Raheem Sterling, and Jaden Sancho simultaneously. You heard it here first, folks. We dissect and present football in a way that you've never seen before. Craig Butler's Football Unfiltered. Don't miss it.
All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the next episode. Today is Saturday the 4th. And sorry we're a bit delayed, but everyone knows it's no movement coming up tomorrow. So everything's so just outside everywhere. It's just been crazy this past couple of days. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling, Greg? It's been a busy week, right?
It's been a very busy and very stressful week. A lot of housekeeping to do.
Yeah, good. Well, we got a special guest we're going to bring on right away. He doesn't have too much time, but most of you guys know him. He's a former Trinidad and Tobago professional football player. I believe he played in the 06 World Cup. He can confirm that when he gets in. And just all around now Caribbean football executive, always in the midst of everything Caribbean football. He's part of the recent committee to try and establish a Caribbean Professional Football League. So we're going to hear a bit about that. So we're happy to bring in Mr. Brent Sancho. So Brent, can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clear. How are you guys doing? Thanks for having me.
No problem. We know you're in the UK. How are things over there?
Yeah, it's not bad at all. It's the weather is obviously dipping a bit, but it's still quite good. I'm over here actually finishing up my FIFA diploma in club management. It's been a 1-year course, and now we're about to embark on part of the course in Spain, Madrid, Spain, to be exact, in a couple of weeks' time. And then in January, we finish off in Switzerland. So it's been, despite the fact of COVID and the challenges that we have, it's been a very interesting year for myself.
Wow. So tell us a bit about, or tell the people a bit about what your current role is in trying to develop Caribbean sports, and I guess you personally, what you're trying to do next in this next phase of your career.
Well, after I've stopped playing football, I got into club management. I was managing director of one of the clubs in the Trinidad Tobago Professional League. From there, I decided that this seemed something I like, and I went in and I started my own football club called Central FC. We are 3 times Trinidad Tobago Professional League champions. We're also 2 times Caribbean Cup champions. So we've had a very successful, despite only being a young club, only 7 years old. We have had some success. I've moved in now. I'm currently the acting chairman of the Trinidad Tobago Professional League. Also, of course, working alongside CONCACAF to try to establish a Caribbean Professional League. So it's been quite active on the football side, of course, trying to put together, mitigate all the various things and challenges that we have in the Caribbean, which I'm sure will be part of our discussions. And obviously trying to find a way forward for our football in the Caribbean, because clearly the heights that we would have had in the past has certainly gone, and we have to find new ways to, first of all, develop our talent, and secondly, to move them on, and of course, to make sure that the Caribbean nations start to become a force to reckon with within the CONCACAF region.
Yeah, that's something that's always been on my mind, just trying to figure out different ways, especially getting the exposure out there. And it's something that we're doing with Craig's Academy now with Phoenix, trying to get a lot more players out there, a lot more content out there, trying to get just in general athletes out here a bit more notice. Now, Craig, you've known Brent for how long? Have you known for a while?
Yeah, we met before, and it's the second time, and through also your cousin Sean Sancho.
Yeah.
Sean is Jaden Sancho's dad, so we've been speaking a lot about, and we find that we have a lot in common in terms of our vision and what we'd like to see happen in the Caribbean. You know what I wanted to ask you, Brent? How is the youth football in Trinidad done? What is the biggest football in Trinidad? Is it school football or club football? At the
yes, school football is still the biggest. Is still the biggest football in Trinidad as it relates to popularity, and as it relates to investment as well, sponsorship, commercial support, etc. Unfortunately, the school program in Trinidad is not really the conduit to get players outside and to develop our young talent, because a lot of these school teams just want to win, and because of that, there's a huge void in terms of development of our young people. I mean, Craig, you would know, if you have a 20-year-old playing against a 14-year-old in a league, you're talking about disaster, and that's exactly what is happening at the school level in Trinidad and Tobago, and hence the reason why Trinidad and Tobago has started to fall as it relates to best practice in anywhere else in the world. We're just not there anymore, because we are still relying on school football to produce our next national product. And as you know, everywhere else in the world has moved so far away from that, and we're still stuck in the dark ages looking for our next Dwight York or Stern John coming out of school football, and it's not going to happen because the rest of the world, and even people like yourself, Craig, have found a better way of developing talent and making sure that they can press on to greater heights.
Oh, that's funny, because I'm having a similar situation in Jamaica with the idea of the schoolboy football and just the whole idea of getting players in, getting them winning, convincing the parents at any cost to just make the kid play, and then after that's finished, the coaches really can't do anything for them. The school not going to do anything for them. They might be able to get them a football scholarship sometimes, maybe to the US, but then when you have a player that has the quality to Leon Bailey, and you're sending him on a scholarship and giving away the best 4 years of his football life, while he could just easily pay his own way through college with the money that he would spend for lunch as a professional footballer, then and a lot of these schools also are, as sad as it is, I think the pass mark grade to play in the high schools is something like 40%. Is that what it is?
You need to have a minimum 40% to
be able to qualify to play
I'm not
for
sure,
the school.
I'm not sure.
In college, yeah, I think it's about that. I mean, in high school here in Trinidad,
I'm talking about high school.
Listen, there's no pass grade in high school in Trinidad. There's not.
Yeah, you can imagine 40% and you play.
Yeah.
But we don't have a pass mark in Trinidad. In fact, it is scary because, and I have no problem saying this, a lot of the kids just show up for the high school season and then our season is from September to December, and then January, who knows where they go. I certainly some of them stop going to school and whatnot because they're not scholastically inclined. I mean,
exactly.
And that's the fact. And because of that, these kids are tied into the school that just wants to win. When they win the trophies and whatnot and have all the various celebrations, come January, those kids are back on the street. They're back at home and they're scratching their head, and most of them.
It's interesting too, because since I've been helping out Craig, and I've been sort of helping him with some trialists coming on board, and we send out a survey anytime a player wants to come, and I would say 85% of the responses to the question is, "Are you fit?" It's always, I used to play Manny Cup, but since Manny Cup stopped, I'm no longer fit, or I'm not training, or I'm not doing this. And that could be the mentality that a lot of these schools give is, okay, when school's starting, start your training a few weeks before, and then we'll get ready for the season. When in reality, it should be, if you want to be professional, you should be training all the time. School on, school off. You should always be training. Is that something that the mentality of some of these schools have, and that's
well, it's just natural because they they go on holidays, and then during the holidays, and the schools have 3 different sports. So if you have a top athlete, he's going to do track and field part of the time, he's going to do cricket part of the time, and he's going to do football. So meanwhile, Europe is developing 11 and a half months out of the year. The problem is although we play football, it is not just football that you need to do to become a professional footballer. You have to have your public speaking, image projection, your languages. You have to actually be doing schoolwork. But a lot of the problems is that they don't reach the kids with the reason. So say I'm a kid that just loves football, and I want to be a professional footballer. And I don't want to do anything else. I know that's what I want to do. But you go to school and they say, well, football is an extracurricular activity, so you should really be focusing on your academics and football as a secondary thing. The minute you say that to a person who wants to become a professional footballer, you've lost him. What you should be saying is, yes, you want to be a professional footballer, but in order to become a professional footballer, you need your academics, because you're going to be needing to learn quickly, be able to adapt, to be able to read and write properly so you can understand your contracts and be able to represent properly and so on. Once you do that, then the kid will start to grasp and work, So that's the big challenge that you have. And I have a huge challenge in Jamaica with this. When I say huge, I mean huge. So who not trying to get into the parents' head, trying to get into the kids' head, and the whole idea and the glory of the high school football when there really isn't any glory. Because we're a pinhead on the map, on the world map of football. So being a high school champion means nothing to anybody else in professional football worldwide. But if you can beat Aston Villa or you can beat Crystal Palace, then you can talk. And this is where the whole big problem is. And then a lot of people start to believe that they have arrived and they don't need you and they can do what they want to do. And sooner or later, those players just drop through the cracks. I've had like 100 of them so far. Really top players just drop through the cracks, stop listening, or they think that they know everything.
It's a similar challenge in Trinidad and I suspect of the Caribbean as well, because secondary school is very prominent. I mean, the real sad thing about it, secondary school football doesn't go past 3 to 4 months. And there's no way you can tell me that a young man developing in a sport to become a professional athlete, a professional footballer at some point, just playing 3 to 4 months in a calendar year. There's no way you can develop to become a professional player. And I don't understand why secondary school football is even a conversation in the Caribbean. We need, as Craig rightfully said, we're just a dot, and we are behind. We don't have the facilities that they have in England or other parts of Europe. We don't have the type of situations that their young kids are being placed in. So every single second, day, week, month, it is a big part of whether they make it or not. And for them to be bamboozled by secondary school for 3 to 4 months, and then, of course, then dormant for the rest of the time, it makes no sense to me. And it's one of the reasons, as I said, I know in Trinidad, for example, that we've really stopped producing the Dwight Yorks and Sterling John because they're not playing enough football throughout a calendar year.
Not just that, but they're not getting the proper coaching, because what happens is, I don't know about you, but I feel that everything that you can learn in football, you can, with a good coach, you can actually unlearn with another coach. And sometimes the coach may even think he's a good coach and he's successful in Jamaica. But again, we get back to the pinhead. You're a big fish in a very minute pond, and therefore you can beat everybody. But then what happens when you come out? What happens when your player comes out of that situation? Is he prepared? Is he ready? And does he have the advocacy to get him where he needs to go and keep him on the straight and narrow? And that's where I think we really have a challenge. But what I did was, I have taken the Belgian model. Belgian model is very simple. You have the academy, for instance, Genk. KRC Genk has an academy, football academy. They have what they have as an internat sometimes, where players, if they're living any far distance from where the field is, they stay there. And then they have what they call a corporation with a school. And the school works closely with the academy to ensure that they get to train twice a day, so they can train early in the morning and they can train in the evening. And then they go to school in that bubble. And they're going into the school, doing the academics. The teachers are reporting back to the coaches. If they slip, if they move one muscle out of position, then the teachers will then tell you, and then you can organize and keep it going. So I remember when Leon at 12 years old, could barely read and write, And today, because of that model, he now speaks, I think, 5 or 6 languages, and he can write in it, and his handwriting is beautiful. He reads exceptionally well, and he finished high school well, while he was a professional footballer, And so these are the things that are key. I mean, I have a lot of examples of players who actually went through school, played in the high school competitions, were successful, played in the national team, and at the end of the day, they can barely read and write. And that affected their ability to process information, affected how they saw themselves, affected how they even carried themselves, And there are some and I'm talking about very prominent, well-known Jamaican footballers, that has lost that way.
And then you kind of just get lost in the system. So Brent, let me ask you, like, hearing all this, it sounds very much like Trinidad and Jamaica are definitely in similar positions that way. Where would you, if you were in charge, or where would you see or would want the future to change in this kind of system?
Well, in Trinidad, I hope we could have kidnapped Craig and bring him down to Trinidad to emulate what he's doing in Jamaica. But no, I think, look, at the end of the day, what is baffling to me is the fact that we have people like Craig in the Caribbean who know what is best practice. The problem that we have is that our various FAs, they get roughly $6 million per World Cup cycle year, US dollars, and God knows what they do with it, because our football is not developing in any stretch of the imagination, and everything points towards exactly what Craig is doing in Jamaica. We need that sort of environment to develop our players. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you have probably 6 or 7 of them throughout the Caribbean, because obviously small islands like your Turks and Caicos, etc., they probably don't produce the same amount of players, but easily you could pick those players up and put them in Jamaica with their Craig school, and the FA from Turks and Caicos could pay for that person's participation. The point is, it would now see the development of players holistically throughout the Caribbean. And if I had my wish, I would mandate that the CFU and Caribbean nations have at least 5 or 6, have people like Craig involved, and have these sorts of academies throughout the Caribbean, so we can develop our players. Secondary school football is not going to do it. You just, of course, articulated the challenges you have there. But this is the type of situation you need to develop our players. All the players that we've developed in the past, I know in Trinidad, for example, was just, and I say this with no apology, it's just luck. Because of many of us in Trinidad that played in the World Cup or played for Trinidad, we played school football, and we just played a lot, and we were fortunate to grasp that and take it to overseas situations. But if you were to have a situation where it's focused on developing our talent, you're talking about something completely different, and that is what the Caribbean is crying out for. It is desperately in need of it. It's not even a money situation, because the FAs get the money. It's just how they spend the money, I think, is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah, wholeheartedly. I mean, now we have a partnership with Aston Villa, where they'll be also sending coaches down, and
we have to advertise them, of course.
Yeah, we advertise sending players up. or we have one of our coaches now actually going to do his badges in England as well, who came up through the academy, Travis. But this is the key to the success. If we don't do that, it's not going to work. And the problem is, you have that ingrained old dinosaur mentality that just keeps going and going. And when a little kid looks like he's going to get his head out and he's going to make it, they just grab him and pull him right back into the quagmire of filth. That is schoolboy football.
Yeah. So Brent, I know it's getting late there, so we don't want to keep you too late. But I want to ask you. I know you're on the committee for CONCACAF for the potential viability of the Caribbean Premier League. How could that maybe benefit in some of the development, and where do you see that going in the future?
I think it would need a huge investment, similar like the academy. There's no doubt in my mind that the league standard throughout the Caribbean is not good enough to sustain our talented players. The ones that maybe at 19 or so that maybe didn't make it at a club or went overseas, they would need a league to play in. But when you look at the standard of play in all the leagues across the Caribbean, it's just not high enough to make sure that a player can go on. He may develop late, and Craig could bear me out here because he would know about this. He may develop a little bit later than the others, but he's being put into a Trinidad League or Jamaican Premier League, and the standard there is not good enough for them to continue that development. So I think a Caribbean League, if done the correct way, could give our players an opportunity to play at quite a high level. And as Craig would know, it's all about consistency, continuously waking up in the morning, training in a good environment, playing football games in a challenging environment that would now prepare you to move overseas. I mean, if you're talking about preparing a young man, you certainly will be scratching your head if you try to prepare him in some of these leagues, because it's no kick in the teeth for the leagues that we have in the Caribbean. It's a fact. It's just that the league standards are not good enough for us to see our players move on to European clubs, and to be quite frank as well, to even have players that we could challenge at a Gold Cup level or challenge at a World Cup qualification level. We're not seeing that. I mean, if you look at the recent Gold Cup that just went by, outside of Jamaica, all of our Caribbean brothers struggled to get out the group stage. I don't think any came out the group stages because the talent pool, local talent pool, is just not good enough anymore, and that's a fact.
In that the Golden Boot winner, Guiafalo Vilta Hasselbank, actually is from our academy. He's just from Suriname, but he was in our academy for 2 years straight, you know. So it's funny that you could see the two of them developing. The big problem I think that we have is this. In order for something like that to work, they would have to put a minimal cap as to the amount of youth under 21 players that would have to play. So you'd say, okay, you have to have 7 or 6 under 21 players in the team. Then at the same time, you have to say to the high schools, you can only have 3 over 18 players on your team. Mm-hmm. Everybody else has to be under 16. So what it does is it forces them to not hold on to the good, talented young kids to play in the high schools, so the high schools win. And at the same time, putting those high school kids and exposing them in a more competitive league with older players so that they can be prepared to make the jump. Yeah. And at the same time, putting in all the processes to get them ready to be real professionals. When you look at some of these guys, you know, Brent, they don't comb them here, you know.
Yeah.
They don't know how to talk. They don't know how to clean up their room. They can't sew. They can't cook. They can't do nothing at all. They don't know how to put themselves together. How are you going to be the term professional? That's lost on a lot of people. A professional footballer is not just getting paid to play for football. You're an ambassador. You're a role model. You know, you have to be an example for the others to step up in and follow. You have to also be an example that brands would want to associate themselves with. Yeah. For the club, people don't realize that, for example, with Allianz, when they're looking at getting a player to play right wing for Aston Villa, they're also looking at a story. Will that story sell and make parents want their kids to buy a Leon Bailey shirt and put it on their back? Will that story have more kids want to come into and go and watch the games? Will that story have people wanting to buy action figures? Will that story, you understand? And we could go on and on and on. But the stories that we have they're not very good ones. You know? And we have to start creating those good stories, you know, and that the way of things are now, it cannot stay the same. I'm doing my best to actually change it. You know, I've partnered with a school. I've taken over the school just to be able to develop the players properly, to get the academic support that I need for the kids, the footballers, for them to be able to travel when they need to travel, get the online support, you know. Have teachers, you know, I remember when I went to school, I went to Jamaica College, and I came up with a little thing. I said, there are 3 reasons people become teachers. The first one, which is natural, is they want to help others and they want to help their country to build the great minds of tomorrow. The other one is they can't get a better job because teaching doesn't pay very well. And the third one is that they want to bully somebody. Those are the kids who never really, some of them never achieve, and they just want to go in and bully and have power over someone. I've been to some of these schools in Jamaica. And you should see how the teachers deal with the kids. You know, it's as if I am the Lord and Master and you must bow down to me. You know, and that doesn't help the kids' confidence to develop as a person. You know, I tell people, one of my students, he's been the longest with me. He came when he was 2 years old, Skylar McFarlane, and he's still with us now. He's 12, almost going 13. And he sent me a little plaque. He says, a good coach can win a game. A great coach can win a game. A good coach can win a game. A great coach can change your life. You know? And this is where things are lacking. The coaches get paid to become coaches of the school. So they keep their job based off whether or not they win or do well or not. So with all that they're doing, they just want to make sure that they win. Whereas with my job, I get paid when my players develop to be good enough to become pros. And we can continue getting paid after that too. So I am forced, if I want to eat, to develop the good qualities that are needed in the player to get in there. While the other man is trying to win a cup so he can keep his job. You know, and that's where the biggest challenges are. And trust me, it's not pretty.
It has to change. It has to change somehow, though, because you know, I mean, listen, Eddie nail on the head. You could see it because, you know, before in the Caribbean, we could have patched things up. We as I said, we develop a Walter Boyd or Dwight York or some phenomenal talent, but somehow come out of the Caribbean. But because now through technology and how the world has shrunk because of all of that, those days are gone. You can't do things by whim and by guess. It has to be done in a scientific way. And because of that now, the Caribbean, you know, the big teams in the Caribbean, etc., the days where we used to beat a USA or Honduras or whatever, those days are gone because, you know, they're doing what is, I would consider, the blueprint of how you develop talent. And we're not. We are still hoping through our archaic systems to develop someone. And it's mind-boggling to me that we don't want to change.
Yeah. So Brent, last question for you regarding Trinidad. We know it's been the past few years has kind of been tumultuous for the team and the TTFA in general. Obviously, there was a changeover in leadership, then you had normalization committee. Not the best performance in the World Cup qualifying, not getting out of the round. What are your where are you trying to fit into to see if things can be worked out at the TTFA and Trinidad as a whole? And are you optimistic about the future coming up for football in Trinidad?
When you're in this sport, you always have to be optimistic because it's in your blood and it's in your heart. So you have to be optimistic, else your blood would stop pumping and your heart would stop beating. So I'm always optimistic when it comes to football, particularly in the Caribbean. As it relates to Trinidad, I think anytime you're going through any meaningful change, you will always have upheaval, you will always have discord, you'll always have disharmony. And I think Trinidad has reached that point where we are going through some meaningful change, where we are trying to shift out the old guard, the old thinking, the old ways of doing things into hopefully moving into the new way of things. And I think that is why you're seeing the type of performances on the field, you're seeing the type of behaviors off the field as it turns administration, and everybody wants to be president, everybody wants to be the leader. And because of all of that, it's shedding its skin. I think Trinidad Tobago is shedding its skin. You have to remember, similar to Jamaica, Trinidad has had a one-man leadership for quite a number of years, and we've moved away from that now. And so we're trying to find our own identity. And that's what happens in anything in life when you're trying to find your identity. You'll have fights, you'll have all these different things. But I think a lot of what we've discussed tonight on this call is exactly what Trinidad needs to do if they are to become capable of qualifying for World Cups again. It's very simple. It's, we have to be able to do these things. It's there to be done. It's really the will of the stakeholders in the country to want to do this, because the great thing about this sport, football, there's no gray areas in football. Football is very, very, you do the right things, and 9 times out of 10 you'll get the right results.
Exactly.
And if you
people
do
like to shortchange it, shortcut, short change. There's no short
exactly.
Cut. It's just not gonna happen. Recruit is not gonna work. You have to develop. You have to do the right thing.
Yeah, and you're spot on. And we in the Caribbean, we like shortcuts, we like fast things, we like things to happen right away, and it's not going to work that way. And I think at the end of the day, Trinidad has reached that ground where we either go left or right, and hopefully, as I said, I'm an optimistic person. I believe we will. If we go the right way, then you would see things starting to improve, etc. But as I said, it's hard. I mean, as I said, Craig is doing it right there in Jamaica. You don't even have to look far. And if we are to follow something like what Craig is doing on a national level and start developing our players and understanding the simple principles that come with the sport, you will have success. And I think that day is going to have to come for Trinidad Tobago to come out of the doldrums and for us to start moving forward. So, yeah, there's a lot happening on the ground in Trinidad Tobago. And as I said, it is really the backdrops of what we've been involved in for the past 30 plus years of one-man leadership. That is now gone, and now we are looking for our identity.
Well, I'm also willing to help and willing to even do a franchise down there. Where we can
I will hold you to those words, my good friend.
No problem. For me, I think the more that the Caribbean is developed, the better it will be, the more competitive it will be, the better we'll all become. Yeah. And we'll take our place,
Yes.
I will definitely think, work out something, get a model going, whether we do a franchise or whether we move some of our coaches down, or start to do an exchange program where we bring some of the Trinidadian youngsters that are talented here to the academy and build them here, because that's also an option,
Yeah. No, I fully agree with you. At the end of the day, as much as I talk about the FA and they needed to get their act together. I mean, I think times like these, sometimes you have to kind of take the bull by the horn and do it by yourself. And and if they are to follow, they follow. If not, they don't. But at the end of the day, I think ideas like what Craig just mentioned there is what the Caribbean needs. And if we could do stuff like that, and we could be the ones that could now pioneer and champion the cause to develop our young talent. So that is what I'm hoping happens, because I am the type of person, I don't believe in waiting on the ones in the charge. I believe that you can set your own course and your own destiny by the acts and the actions that you take now. So I fully endorse the fact of probably spreading franchises all over, because it would help. It is going to help. It's going to change. It's a game changer, and I think it needs to be done. So those are the things that has to happen in the Caribbean for us to move things forward. And we have Leon, we have Jada, we have others with Caribbean roots that play in the EPL and play in those leagues that are well publicized, and those young men would have to, of course, show their faces and come back and inspire our youth as well. And it's there to happen. And I wholeheartedly hope that is the next steps forward.
Guys, always love your mother, right? And respect your mother. She called 3 times. I have to take her call.
Yes. Sounds good.
I mean, I'm on a show right now. I have some avocado pears for the people at the supermarket that are so kind to us. I want to give it to them. So just come up now, please. Thank you. Bye.
Okay. I've met her. She's a very
you have to love your mother.
But Brent, we know it's late. Thank you so much for coming on. Do you have any last words, or you want people, some of the followers here to check you out, and you are on any platforms or anything? The floor is yours.
No, I just I am constantly trying to obviously improve myself so I could be an asset to the Caribbean and to our young people in the Caribbean. I fully endorse what Craig is doing and you guys are doing back there in Jamaica, and I really hope that the satellite academies and the different franchises do spread, because we have to do something in the Caribbean, and there's so many people within the Caribbean that wants us to do well. There's so many football fans that wants to see our football rise again. That is truly inspiring, and for me that is a big thing, and so I hold on to all that we've discussed tonight, because I think those are the types of things that we have to speak into action, so we are to be successful. So I was really happy to be on here, and looking forward to when I come to Jamaica to come and see you guys, and of course make sure I can get some of those avocados and mommy's cooking.
Yeah, man, I have some big avocados on my tree. But that's why you talk about loyalty. I've gone to the same supermarket for the last 20 years. And I'm treated so well at that supermarket, high-low supermarket. And for the staff there, I send pears when I have extra avocados on the tree. I send it down to them. So you build relationships, and people don't want to. As simple as that is, it goes a far way to becoming a good agent, to getting good kids, good raw material, good loyal parents that come into the program. Because you show your loyalty to them. If they have any good in them at all, then they'll show their loyalty back to you.
Yeah, exactly. Well said. Yes, exactly.
Anytime, just let us know. We'll get you back on. Anytime you want. Anytime you want to mention something, any news, let us know. So, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, guys, and enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Thanks a lot, Craig. Keep doing your work, my brother.
Respect, Brent.
Yeah. Take care.
All right, cool. Dante is gonna come on.
Dante's coming on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dante is now in school. He just finished preseason.
Did I send you the link to come on?
Did you?
I don't think I sent you the StreamYard link.
All right, send me the link right now.
Okay.
Yeah, so Dante is gonna come on with us. Yes, we're sending you the link, Dante. 2 seconds. Boy, technology is a hell of a thing, eh?
Got it. Yeah, no, but it was great. I know Brent Sancho, like we said, he's a legend in Trinidad, played for the national team. As you guys know now, it sounds like he's getting his badges and he's looking forward to an executive career or coaching career, which is great to see. And he's a big supporter of Caribbean football. And he's always involved. He didn't just take his career and just relax after. He's really involved in all that stuff. So yeah, it was great to have him on. Thank you guys for the comments and joining us. Love says there's no pass grade for high school. So yeah, I think you were correct. Yeah, when you this person says when you play football, Jamaican parents say go study, or they support track and field more. Is that something you see often as well?
Yeah, because they don't understand. People still don't get it.
Yeah.
Football, sports is the highest paid legal profession in the world.
For sure. Yeah.
And football is the highest paid sport. Now, the fact that there are so many professional teams, Portugal, Spain, Belgium, England, that people can make good money in, it's a market that we as Jamaicans have not been truly exposed to, because we've been inculcated into believing that going the US route, getting a college scholarship and going to the US is the key to getting ahead in life. Meanwhile, you can actually become a professional footballer, make good money, pay your own way through school with your Trump change that you have left, and make it. And when you're done football, you have a career after. And this is where a lot of people just mistake, and it's been it's very difficult to reach. It has been very difficult to reach there in the past, because we have not had proper development and proper academies. Now, what Phoenix has done for the last 15 years is develop the mentality, and also change the perspective of even the players. The kids, they now understand, listen, I can be a professional footballer and I can become a doctor as well. I can be a professional footballer and I can become a lawyer. So this is where some of the challenges are, is that the schools are saying, hey, but we want to win Money Cup. And you need to stay until you're 18. Oh no, you're 19. And okay, I stay until I'm 19. I don't get the exposure I need. I don't get to develop. I have you coaching me who has been in Jamaica from you were 20 odd years now, and you've never learned anything new. So what can you teach me?
And also to that, if you're a coach for 20 years for a Money Cup team, your coaching qualities are, how can I win or how can I build a team just for the next 2 years, and then look for the next crop and the next crop and the next crop. So their qualities and their experience is a lot more geared towards short-term success, rather than long-term sustainability.
Exactly.
From observation. So I see Dante has joined in. So we're going to bring in. Hey Dante, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right. How are things? You're in. It's late there. You're in UK, right?
Yes, it's 11 o'clock over here.
11. So how are things? How have things been since we last spoke with you?
It's been good. We just finished preseason today, and it was also went well.
How did it go for you? What did you do? What was your success, your claim to fame? Who you won?
It was a good exposure and a good start.
Yeah. What position you played? Left back or center?
The introduction with new players. I played centre back.
What position you played? Left back, center back,
and left back and right back.
Okay, all over the place. Good thing we teach you to play everywhere. Eh? Good thing we taught you to play everywhere. Can you imagine if you could only play center back or just right back? When they put you to left back, you do that. Question, Dante, you spent a year already in Germany, yeah? At St. George's, right?
Yes.
And before that, you were doing your education at St. George's College in Jamaica, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
How has that affected your grades? How was your grades and your adaptation from St. George's College in Jamaica to St. George's College in Germany and now to Brookhouse College in England?
How do you adaptation
feel? Have you lost anything? Have you gained? What we want to know.
since the Jamaican system is like a bit more advanced and it goes like a few years ahead compared to like the other countries, then when I went to St. George's in Germany, I already knew some of the stuff, but I didn't really remember it so much because they teach it a bit different over there. So then I also got a bit confused with the concept of it when I went over it.
Yeah. But how did you adapt? What was the adaptation like?
Yeah.
Was it hard or was it easy? What did
The
you do?
adaptation was it was a bit hard because like you're going into a new country and they'll speak a different language to what you're used to. So you also have to try to adapt quickly to it and learn the language a lot quicker.
Before that, before you came to Jamaica, you were at Genk Midden School in Belgium. You remember that?
Yes, I was. Yeah.
And they spoke
I was there
Dutch
for
there.
about 6 months.
Yeah. And they spoke Dutch there, right? They spoke Flemish there. Yeah? How do you think? And then you came back, I went to Peter and Paul Prep here, then St. George's, 1, 2, then St. George's in Germany.
Yeah.
And now you're at Brookhouse College. And it hasn't phased you. You're still doing well. You're still doing good in your grades. Has there been benefits associated with learning the different cultures, the different people, the different environments that you were in?
Yes, it has, because you have to learn to adapt quickly. So then you can't really make as much mistakes, because if you're a foreigner and going into a new country, then depending on where you are, they might not want you there. So you have to be there quick to adapt and everything. So then they can't find a way to push you out.
Exactly. So do you think you did that well at St. George's?
I believe I did, because before I went to the school, I was there in Germany for a bit until school started.
And they also liked you at the club too, on the club level, huh?
Yes, they did.
So how do you juggle, trying you're keeping fit and staying active in the academy and just training professionally when you have to go to all these different cultures and countries around the world? How do you keep sane when you have to train?
I have to manage my time properly, so I have to set my time for training, to go do my schoolwork and all that evenly, so I have a balanced life.
Okay, and is the training, I guess, do you follow obviously Craig's and then the coach's playbook wherever you go? Doesn't matter, you know exactly how to train?
Yeah.
So Dip, when you were in Jamaica, right? You won Pepsi for St. George's, yeah? And you scored in what, the final, semi-final, and final? So?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
And then you went to Germany, and now you're in England. How do you think that will help you as a person, as a professional footballer?
I think it would help me. Like I can manage on my own, even though I'm so far away from my family, and then I won't not see them for a few months. But I think that it would help me because like I would find my own way to live on my own without my parents being around, and to do the right things when no one's watching.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And how do you feel? Is Dante by himself? He lives on his own, or he has somebody there?
He has a roommate at the college, at the boarding dorm.
Okay.
And Xander is there as well.
Okay.
And Xander and Buster. And there'll be 3 more Phoenix that are going to join them. And just waiting on their student visas.
Okay.
Because I say the adaptation, the steps that are needed to be taken is important. We can't do it here because not only will we have difficulties getting them to see and to be more exposed, but we have the high schools here just trying everything to stop the progress. Just to try and get a player to win a Manning Cup. It's 6 months stomach. I have Manning Cup things, Craig Butler, top guy in Manning Cup and all of that. And at the end of the day, it didn't really help me that much.
And the thing interesting is, and Manning Cup and the Costa Cup in school football, I mean, that can always have its place. Maybe not to develop football, but just for its entertainment value or for people.
Of course, nothing is wrong with it. But when you take it to the level where the kids' development comes second. I'm not just talking about the development. I'm talking about the academic development. I'm talking about the social development. I'm talking about exposure. All of that comes second. It makes no sense.
And then this is where I can give my opinion as somebody who not born and bred here but moved here. I didn't know what Manning Cup or the Costa Cup was. So if a footballer came up to me while I was in Canada and said, "Hey, I've been playing X amount of years. I won Manning Cup. I won the Costa Cup." I'm like, I don't know what that means, right? But what are your accolades as a professional player or aspiring player, right? So I think it's something that needs to be like we talked about it all show. But I mean, I've personally been to games. It's exciting for what it is, but like I think there's a lot of work to be done for development. So Dante, do you feel like if you didn't go out and you didn't study in Germany and didn't go to Belgium and you just stayed here in Jamaica and played school football for all those years, do you feel like you would be there to where you are now in terms of your talent level or your skill level or your training level, or do you feel like you'd be behind if you stuck in the school system here?
Oh, I feel like I would not be as far as where I am now, because at that level they only teach you how to do so much and no more after that.
What have you learned more of? What have you done more of since being in Europe?
In Europe, they also teach you how to play different playing styles, how you should move with the ball and all that they're on the field, and how you should press and everything you need to do.
A lot more tactical and first world mentality.
Very.
That's part of the problem. If you have a coach that's been coaching for 20 years here in Jamaica, and he's never left, he's going to coach the same way he coached to win the title 20 years ago. So
exactly.
So you won't be able to say, listen, how you press, where you move, whatever. One of the great things that I really found that meant a lot to me was what the coach from Aston Villa said about us after the game. You saw that, Brandon?
I think we showed it last stream. I didn't see it.
Can we show it again?
Yeah, I can show it again. Well, I don't have it on my. You mean the video?
Yeah, the video.
Okay, yeah, I think I have it.
I wanted to share 1 second, Dante. I think it's that. No, it's not that. That's Liam.
Is that at the end here? This one?
Yeah, a little bit further back, further in.
Right here?
Yeah. Can I do another?
Okay, let me put it up.
All right, there you go. Check this out about what they said about our academy. This is the head of Aston Villa's academy in England. Aston Villa is the FA Cup champions of 19 in England.
Skills are excellent for the attacking play. Here today, okay, we certainly enjoyed the experience. Really good for us as well, okay. Your style of play, really good forward, okay. Lots of skills skills are excellent. You attack and play. Very, very good. So well done to you. Okay. Thank you. I hope the rest of your trip when you go home. Please come and teach as well, haven't you? Okay, so I hope you've had a great experience. All right, so thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Professor.
Let's look at the next video that's gonna come where Casey is speaking. Now, part of it's important to also develop this component, which you have to have confidence in the players and in for instance Casey.
And she was talking a bit low either way.
Low,
But
there's music in the background.
Yeah, and the music, yeah.
But the bottom line of it is what you get is that you're having kids that are comfortable speaking. Yeah. She's not shy. None of them blink. They're confident and doing what they need to do.
Yeah.
So they're not being pressed down, but they're being uplifted and empowered. You know.
Yeah.
So, can you imagine? You've gone to England and you've defeated the champions of England.
Yeah. How was it, Dante? You played in this game. How correct?
Yeah.
How was this game for you? Can you give us how you felt playing? And were you intimidated at all before the match started?
Not hearing Dante. You sure they got it?
Hey, Dante, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yes, I can.
Okay, we have Dante. Answer us quickly because we have Giles here, who's the head of Brookhouse College.
Oh.
And he's going to join us for a few minutes. So can you tell us, how did it feel playing against Aston Villa? Were you nervous at first or anything like that?
I didn't feel nervous because we've been playing so much matches before that and all. So then I had to overcome that.
Okay.
All right. Well, we'll bring on.
Let's bring on Giles.
All right. So we'll let Dante go.
Keep him in the background.
Okay. All right. So just stick around, Dante.
I'll never let you go, Dante. Don't worry.
Hi, Mr. Williams. How are you? Can you hear us?
I can hear you. How you doing, guys?
Great.
It's great. Sorry to bug you this late at night, but we really appreciate you coming on the show.
No, it's a pleasure to be with you, Craig.
You know, you've been doing great things over at Brookhouse College here in England, and we have formed a partnership with them, and it's helping the process of how we would move our players, develop the players, and continue their development into the next stages. We just wanted to speak with you a little bit about your school, and if you can tell us a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, but we ours is an international boarding school. We're located just south of Leicester and about 45 minutes from Birmingham, which is obviously, I can see from your collection of equipment around you, has obviously made a bit of a noise over in Jamaica with Leon signing for Aston Villa. We have about 300 boarding students in the school. Of about half of them are in the football program, which Dante's a very welcome addition to. It's nice to see you, Dante.
It's nice to see you too, Giles.
I hope you're going to bed before too long.
I'm planning to soon.
And basically we help prepare students for their futures. That future might be in professional football, but that future could be in academics, or it could be in semi-professional football. We just try to provide the platform for the students to do as well as they possibly can within their sport and within their studies. We've been running the football program for 15 years now, and we've been lucky enough to see a lot of students go on to play high level football in Europe and in the Middle East and in Asia, and we're very excited by the recent cooperation that we've been able to make with you guys in Jamaica, and the excited because it's a great organization to be partnered with, but excited also because there's a very, very, very promising crop of young players who've been developed under Craig's tutelage and under the under the auspices of the Phoenix Academy, and it's just we're looking for Plan A to give them as good a platform as we possibly can here in the UK, so that they can get as much exposure as they possibly can. Plan B is to make sure that they don't let their academics suffer, and that if things don't work out on the football side, that they can proceed onto an academic program at higher education, because obviously the education is really important for all children. So it's an exciting stage, and I was lucky enough to watch the guys on the tour. I was lucky enough to see some of the players who've been coming through, and they're a very talented group of players. I think the results showed that, and I think but the most impressive thing about them, and this is what everybody said at the school, was that, not just me, I'm talking about all the guys at the school, just said they were just a lovely group of lads to work with, and that's a credit to the program. That's nothing to do with Brookhouse. That's a credit to what's gone on before, and they were an absolute joy everywhere they went. I know they won all their matches and everything like that, but it was what was most impressive. What was most impressive was how they conducted themselves. To be honest, they were a credit to their organisation, and that's so important, because they were behaving like model athletes at a young age. It's difficult when you're that age to behave and to so well, but they were a credit to their organisation.
Wow, it's really good to hear that. I mean, to really think about the fact that our players have gone to England and impressed you, and you've had so many players. I think one of your players just signed with Genk, huh?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of boys from Brookhouse who are playing professionally all over the world. There's boys, quite a few boys in Belgium actually at the minute, but you've got to get the building blocks in place, and the great thing about the boys who we saw coming over was that they were very, very down to earth. They were very, very humble. They were very, very appreciative of the opportunity that they'd been given, and just obviously on the pitch they were great. I mean, but as we all know, just being good at on the pitch is only half the battle, isn't it? It's
exactly.
So, but they were so respectful and sort of so focused, and it was a real pleasure to be involved with the program, and some of those boys, I don't believe they'd traveled that widely before, and then suddenly they were thrust into new games with new formations and in a new country and different weather, and they handled themselves with such dignity, and it was really exciting to be a part of, and I know they've gone back to most of them have gone back to Jamaica now, but I mean, for them to behave so well on their on what was for some of them was their first sort of time playing overseas, I thought for young men they did true. I know they were well supported by a good team and everything, but they were a joy to be with, and I think that certainly some of them will have very, very bright futures, but obviously that's likely to involve them leaving Jamaica. It was and it's just another great Jamaican sporting success story. I saw Usain Bolt was playing for a Celebrity 11 today at Soccer X over here in the UK, and I think he's probably a better sprinter than a footballer, maybe. But
he tries. Yeah,
he tries. He really loves football, though. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I think he's probably a good job. He probably did the sprinting first and foremost, and I know he's played a bit of football over in Australia, but it's a great story, and it's just a tribute to the spirit of the Jamaican guys, and they've got some great role models in people like Usain Bolt and role models examples of hard work and dedication. They've been so inspirational to so many younger athletes. I hope that in due course, some of our boys through this program that they can be examples to others.
True, so true. That's something we're really looking forward to, and we carefully selected our players and developed them specifically with these things, and it really makes us feel really good to know that you feel this way, because it's something that we preach every day. Humility, dedication, adaptability. These things are ambassadorship. These things are very important, and we have young players that are young talents, and I remember some of them, grades weren't good because in recent times the whole adaptation with the online learning versus somebody over your head telling you to do your schoolwork. Dante was on earlier speaking about his time management and how he manages his time and prepares himself between football and its academics, and these are things we have to focus on.
Yeah, and I think it's something that doesn't get picked up upon in the media very much, because it's not such a sort of a sexy story, but the difficulty of looking after children through the age of probably 12 or 13 up until the age of 17 or 18 it can be it doesn't matter how good a 13-year-old player you have. That doesn't guarantee that they're going to be a great 18-year-old player, and there's so much that happens in those teenage years that so many children are not able, for whatever reason, to progress their skills and their development, and a lot of it's what happens off the pitch. And COVID's another challenge that those, my 7-year-old boy today, I took down to training. He couldn't take part in the training last year because he didn't go in during the COVID time, and now he's not in the squad, and he's not very happy. I mean, my kid's 7, but he said to me, "Well, what am I going to do because I didn't get in the squad because I wasn't there last year?" And I said, "Well, you just got to work really, really hard to get into it. We've all got problems because of." We've all got issues because of what's happened in the world in the last 18 months. But whilst I feel hugely sorry for the children who've been affected by COVID, it is what it is, and they've got to pick up and go from where they are, because no one's got a time machine, and I bet we all wish it had never happened, the pandemic, but it has happened, and you can't spend the rest of your life saying, "I would have played for Aston Villa, but for the pandemic," or "I would have played for Man United, but my coach didn't like me," or "I would have played for Man City, but I missed the bus," or it's I mean, when you look back on your time in later life, I mean, it's what you achieved that was what's important. So I think we're all sort of learning to try to get back to normal, and we're all learning to make the most of what's been a really difficult situation for lots and lots of young children. But in all the educational stuff that we're working on in the UK, the mental side of things is probably what we focus on the most. Because actually there's lots and lots of good footballers, but are there lots and lots of good footballers who can handle rejection, injury, global pandemics, who can disassociate what's happening off the pitch with what's happening on the pitch, who can manage themselves, be independent, be personally well organised, who can avoid some of the temptations that might come their way. It's not an easy path, and as you know as well as anyone, it's a long process. You're talking about. There was one of our boys who signed a contract in Portugal this week. I've been involved with that child since he was 14, and now he's 19. It's like a quarter of his life we've been working together. It's not. I mean, there are no overnight sensations. There's. It's the same in It's the same in sprinting. It's the same in in athletics. These children who are doing well now. It's been a plan that's been worked to for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and it's involved coaches, parents, teachers.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when the world watches on, they might see these sort of superstars of football, but generally speaking, the process which has been undertaken by their families and by their support groups is been incredibly challenging, financially committing. But it's not just and I think even to an extent, we read so much about agents and how agents get money but I mean, we work with some football agents, and I can honestly say that they're some of the hardest working people that you'd ever meet.
Yeah.
And they also invest a lot of money in helping players and taking players on tours and taking players to trials, and sometimes they get absolutely nothing to show for it whatsoever. And I know that unfortunately the headlines tend to be a bit about the sums of money involved, but what you don't see is the massive time commitment that a lot of people are putting in, and then you've got the extra yard, the extra mile that guys like yourself are going to through the coaching side. I mean, I dare say at Phoenix, if one of the players said, "Will you stay out for half an hour and help me with my shooting?" I dare say the coaches don't say, "I'm sorry, I want to go home."
No, they're there all night.
Yeah.
Believe me, I'm in my gears. I'm coming straight from training.
Yeah.
So 5:30 in the evening.
Nobody tells those stories, do they? They don't tell you the stories about the coach who's driving around in a minibus picking up kids from training, and the huge amount of effort that people give completely voluntarily. It always seems to be a story. It always seems to be. Maybe it's just. I suppose the sort of the bad news travels further or travels faster or whatever. But there's so many good stories in football, which I just wish they got a wider circulation, because like we saw over the 2 weeks with the boys over in the UK, there wasn't a negative moment. You know what I mean? They were great lads with a great opportunity generously provided for them. They were making the most of it, and they were having fun.
But it's funny, the players came back even better than they were than they left because of the experience. A level of football, I was just sitting down, and it's like everything that I taught them, they would do it, but I would have to be telling them to do it. When they went and it was executed and it was so successful, now they're doing it without me even saying a word. I'm just sitting there training, and I'm looking at them, my jaw drops, and I'm saying, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
No?
And it's a wonderful moment as a coach, isn't it? When you realise that some of the things you've been explaining to them for ages, like the in-game management and controlling the tempo of the game and decision making, it's a wonderful moment when you realise that they've actually somehow absorbed those things. You know, it might have taken a while, but finally, it's the pennies dropped. You know what? And the kid who. The kid who's sort of been who's had a fault in his game, it's been eliminated because of his experiences. Exactly. You know, and he's realized that, and then that helps. You know, but that's I think that's the case. I mean, that's what when the boys come over to Brookhouse for the first 2 or 3 months, we have very, very limited expectations of them. You know, they've moved country, they've moved coaching team, they've moved accommodation, they've moved away from their families, they've got new coaches, new teachers, new teammates, we have really limited expectations of them for the first 2 or 3 months, and it's only sort of because the first thing you want them to do is just be happy, be comfortable, because if they're not happy and comfortable, they're not going to learn. And I think the thing that worked really well on the tour was that they were playing matches which were competitive. You know what I mean? Because you don't learn if you win 10-0 or you lose 10-0, you don't learn a lot.
That's true.
You know,
and
so
let me ask you this. Going back to one of your points about, that. You know, even though we're in the pandemic, you can't look back and say, "Oh, I could have been here, I could have been there." How important was it for these kids to actually be there physically, as opposed to maybe filming them, you know, doing some matches here and sending over the footage? And because we're always talking about most of Jamaica sitting on their hands, and this was the right time to finally send them. As complicated as it was with all these tests and protocols, how important was it to actually see them physically before they made this move?
Well, I kind of don't want to answer that question honestly, because the reality is that during the last 18 months, a lot of young footballers have missed a lot of opportunities because of the pandemic. And I don't want to say that because it's not fair. But to be honest, I do believe it's true, and in the same way as students who had to study online at home, they missed the university experience. So at some point, for the sake of those young kids, I think they had to travel abroad. I really do. And we've got this situation at the minute at Brookhouse where we're dealing with a couple of Southern Hemisphere student athletes who were 14, 15, and it's proving impossible either for travel reasons or for travel restriction reasons for them to get over to the UK. And I feel really sorry that their families are going through this, because we were so lucky at Brookhouse that we actually missed about 4 months football probably. And I mean, there was an awful lot of dialogue between the FA, the Boarding Schools Association, the Independent Schools Association, but there was an awful lot of work done, and there was a lot of work done by our coaches and by our principal at the school. But through training in the bubbles, and we actually managed to keep going for all but about 4 months of football, and you can and that made a huge difference. And actually this summer, I think we probably had about as many pro contracts as we would normally have, which was just amazing, and which was great for us. When you consider that the football clubs, it was like a perfect storm. You know, you've got the players whose training's been interfered with, and the clubs whose finances have been interfered with. You know, and you're trying to, and I know that sounds slightly counterintuitive when you're talking about someone like Leon who's got what would be classed as a big money move, but the money has been tight in football. There's no doubt about that. There wasn't many moves like that. That's for sure. And so I was delighted. I mean, we managed to. We had 4 months of actually no football, no grassroots football, I mean, there was that time when they had the hiatus, and then they came back with the Premier League. You know, when the Premier League was actually stopped. But I think it was a great credit to the FA, to the EPL. I think they had to get the Premier League finished. I think they had to do that. I think it would have been it was for the sort of the credibility of the program and the delivery of the sport. They had to get it finished. They did get it finished behind closed doors. It wasn't ideal, but then when you looked at the knock-on effect of that, I think the really tough thing, and you guys know football, so. But there was like conference teams, and I think I'm right in saying that. But at a sort of a semi-pro level, there was teams that were going to get promoted, and then they just cancelled the season.
Yeah.
And I think the FA had no choice about that. It couldn't have carried on, but there was some pretty unhappy football fans, and football players, but that was probably the greatest challenge of COVID. For the biggest problem we had was sort of not being able to play fixtures. But the only good thing about our program, because our program's got like 150 children. I mean, if we play the elite team, the second elite team, I mean, it's pretty competitive. You know what I mean? And these boys, I mean, Dante will tell you because he'll play in it before too long. But if you play the first team against the second team, there's more chance that there's going to be a fight than if they play a fixture against somebody from another club.
I mean, up to yesterday, because we have the school team and we have the Phoenix Elite team, and we were playing a game, and I'm like, guys, do you realize that on any given day, your shirt could be switched? These are your teammates. Are you going to kill each other? Because the elite came back with the success of England, and the school team wants to show that they have the quality to go there. So it was just banging the whole day.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get that. I think you get that at any serious level of sport. There's gonna be a couple of. Academy football, Craig. I mean, you've got. I mean, you can have two right backs, and the second choice right back is still, say, the third best player out of the entire group.
Yes,
but he doesn't get in the team even though he's the third best player in the program.
Yes,
so and you
have to find a way to juggle it.
Then you put those same two right backs on the pitch. There's not going to be much quarter given, and that's the thing about, in academies, you'll know because you talk to the guys in the professional careers, in the professional places over here. I mean, you've got a goalkeeper who's in the under 18s who they don't think the club knows is not going to be a professional goalkeeper, but they need a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
And then they've got a number 10 who's absolutely nailed on, and they're already thinking about him, moving him on to the 23s or the first team or whatever. So within academy football, you've got that sort of bizarre situation whereby what happens if you've got, and we've had this situation at Brookhouse where both the left backs have signed pro deals. And the first choice right winger hasn't signed a pro deal, but the second choice left back does sign a deal. So you're trying to. We're lucky. We've got great coaches. They're professional guys. A lot of them played football previously, so they know these things are going to come up, and they expect them, and they work within them. But it's never easy, It's
definitely. So tell me, you've placed players. You've had players sign in how many countries in Europe so far?
Oh, lots. Portugal, Italy, Belgium, Denmark, Slovakia, Slovenia, Bulgaria, Spain. I mean, because of the immigration rules, is more like you know this as well as anyone, but is more likely that our boys, because they're from overseas, outside the sort of the EU formally. I mean, it's obviously different now. Brexit has taken place, but it's more likely that our boys are going to sign for a European team than they would sign for a UK team initially anyway. So the clubs the boys they know that. I mean, we had a boy. We had a number of boys who've been on trial in Scotland as well, which is a little bit easier than the UK. A little bit easier than England currently. But the sort of there's a pretty well established route in terms of players who've gone to Europe and then who've progressed on to the Premier League. I mean, that's quite well trodden ground. And right. I mean, I'm a Leicester City fan, and I look at someone like Wilfred Ndidi, or who's obviously a great example of that process of someone who won his Spurs in Belgium and then got a move over to the UK. So we had there's a young Tanzanian boy who's with us last year who's playing for Genk at the minute, a Nigerian boy who's playing for Ghent. So hopefully they may play against each other at some stage. And they're great. I mean the most valuable Hong Kong footballer ever who got a move this year. He was a Brookhouse student. So it's all these things are kind of and who's a boy who I knew from when he was a kid, Jackie Leon. And all these children I'm in a sort of a slightly sort of different position in terms of the fact that. To be honest, if whether they play for Man City or whether they go to Harvard, it doesn't really bother me. I just want them to do whatever is the optimal placement for them. I'm as happy if they go to an Ivy League college in America and as if they sign for Liverpool. It doesn't as long as it's what they want to do, then it's what we're all about. So I think that the European immigration rules make work permits and things like that a bit easier. So that's why you do tend to see some of the overseas players.
They go away and then they do well and they come back. And
also I think the EPL clubs are quite kind of happy about it because. Yes, they end up playing big transfer fees, but they pay the big transfer fees, for players like Leon and Wilfred Ndidi and Mo Salah, who came from Europe, and I mean, there's so many of them, so many of those players who did do that, but they're then buying a pretty well tested. They're buying a well-tested, they're buying a proven player, aren't they?
Yeah. Well-blooded. Every time he said Wilfred Ndidi, I smile because he used to love to come to my house in Belgium. And I used to have him over for dinner with Leon. He was good friends with Leon, and he would always leave. He loves my rice and peas. I cook this thing called chicken and rice and peas. He's always leave with his rice and peas.
Yeah, I imagine for a young lad. I mean, he was so young, Wilfred, did he? For a young lad who a young boy who was from Nigeria and to be able to,
I remember he was very lonely. I remember he had an apartment by himself and he was there, and we used to I'd say come over because my home was always a family home. Kyle and Leon was there and Shelly was there, and we would always be cooking and barbecuing and playing table tennis or something, and all of them would come over. Didi, Sama goals, Samata, Ali Samata. The one from Trinidad. He played central midfielder, man. He was always there too. All of them used to come over and have fun, you know. But you guys also, the team goes over to Belgium and to Europe and plays games as well, yeah?
Yeah, I mean that's been a big part of what we've been doing for the last sort of. Two routes that we really encourage the boys to pursue is playing for their national team, because that's a great platform, and also going and playing on tour, because that's a good platform, and you know and like you say, that it's not just about the showcasing of the players. It's also about for them learning to cope with what you've just been describing with someone like Wilfred and Didi. In terms of, I mean, we've got two boys at two ex players who were at Ghent, at Ghent at the minute, and they're living that life that you just described. You know, they're in an apartment. People speak English, but it's not their first language. They're in an apartment. They've never really lived outside an academy structure. They came from an academy in Nigeria, which was 100% residential. An excellent academy called Water FC. I know the guy who owns it very well. He looks after everything. Cooks dinner for the children every night. They do, you know, they eat together, train together. Suddenly they're kind of finding their feet, you know, in a completely new environment, and you could so see how people could go off the rails in that situation. Yeah. And it's not, and you know, I mean, we had the boy who went to Genk this summer, who's a Tanzania, who's funnily enough, who's very friendly with Samata, because they play in the Tanzanian national team together. He's a lad called Kelvin John. I mean, when Kelvin arrived from Tanzania to Brookhouse, he didn't speak English. You know, yeah. So the first couple of words I spoke to him was he said to me, "I'm cold," you know. But so I was kind of like, "Are you cold, Kelvin?" Yeah. Well, we need to get you more kit then, don't we? You know, because but he didn't speak English, and so it's kind of like you know, it's people seem to think that there's like a magic formula that you can just, you know, you can just find a great talent in the Caribbean or in Africa, and that suddenly you can just throw them into a European context and they'll shine, you know. But it's so. I mean, they're only human, these boys, and they're very, very young, and you know, it's like you say. I mean, I dare say that if you look at, I mean, Wilfred and Didi is still very young now. I mean, I saw that they'd won. They won yesterday, I think, and Kelechi had scored a couple of goals. There's, you know, those guys. I mean, they've lived an incredible life, really. When you think about the sort of the journey that they've been on, and I think that the fact, I mean, Wilfred and Didi, I believe, is doing a degree at De Montfort University. You know, I think he's he's obviously a switched on guy. I mean, you obviously know him a lot better than me, but I think he's doing an undergraduate degree at the same time as playing football. So he's obviously exercising his mind as well as his body, and it's a great, you know, But when you hear about people doing that, you think it's like Vincent Kompany. Well, I think he did an MBA while he was at Manchester University at the same time as he was playing for Manchester City. You know, when you hear stories like that, I think, you know, the old image of the footballer who was training in the morning and then he was down the pub or playing snooker or conducting maybe a couple of relationships in the afternoon. I think those days are long gone.
Yeah, I do think so. And you know, one of the things we do at Phoenix is we try to prepare them. You know, so everybody here, they have to learn to cook, they have to learn to clean, they have to learn to drive, they have to learn. You know, Dante, who is sitting, he can drive.
Mm-hmm.
He can already drive. He also can, you know, learn to ride. I was saying to him, you know, it's funny because they're buying bicycles so that they can move around on the campus or to go to training or whatever. And I said, Dante, you see how important it was that you learned to ride, because he can ride a bicycle, and he had like a little electric bike, half thing, and he would ride around. He'd go down to Manor Park and back. And these are the things, you know, the public speaking, the image projection, all the things that you're saying that you found good in the boys.
Yeah.
They were practicing this. We still do every day. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people say, oh, Craig, you're going to send them to Brookhouse and they're young and you're going to send them. I said, listen, this is the path that you have to take if you want to become a professional footballer. You have to get into environments where you can learn more, where you can adapt more, where you can challenge yourself, because you're going to be in a position where if Leon moves 2 years from now to Italy, speak Italian.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And his ability to adapt will be important, you know? And so the whole idea with Phoenix and what we've been doing with them is to ensure that they get that they're prepared for that they're not just good footballers on the pitch, you know? The whole side of it too. There's some players, I know there's some players that will never become doctors or lawyers. But if they can learn enough academically to be able to handle their business, to be able to read their contracts, to be able to adapt in languages, then it's enough. It really is enough.
And you know,
full chance, they'll never get a chance, you know.
I mean, and you know, because you've seen it before, but you know that for one or two of those players who do get pro careers, it's not going to be a smooth ride, you know. So I mean, look at Kevin De Bruyne, you know, arguably the best player in England now. First move to England didn't work out.
Back to Wolfsburg, I think.
Yeah. You look at Mo Salah. You know, first move to England, he's arguably as valuable a player as there is in the Premier League. But the first time he came over to England, he ended up back in Italy. So all that adaptability and that resilience that you've got to have is also part of what you're trying to prepare the children for, because I mean if you look at Messi, yes, but how many players are going to go into a team as big as Barcelona at 12 and get all the way through until 30 whatever, and you know the chances are that whether it's Leon, whether it's the next Leon, but they're going to go to a club where they have an issue with a manager, or they have an issue with a teammate, or they have an issue with, and at some point they're going to have to be able to have the mental strength to go somewhere else and be successful. I mean, look at Lukaku. I mean, he's been all over. He's been all over the place, but no one's saying that he's a bad player. I mean, he's ended up being. I saw a funny when Tammy Abrahams moved to Roma. I saw a funny tweet that someone had put on saying, how much do you reckon Chelsea will buy him back for in 3 years' time? And it was like answers on a postcard, please, because that's what's happened with Lukaku, isn't it?
Definitely.
It's and so you kind of think to yourself, and Tammy Abrahams, I think, has been great since he's been in Italy, and he's got a great manager, and I think he's the type of manager who just from what I've seen, who if you get on well with, he can advance your career tremendously. So it's kind of like, if he tops the goal scoring in La Liga for the next 3 years, then one of the clubs are going to buy him back, and why not Chelsea? So you kind of get this funny situation when trying to say to people, I mean it's heartbreaking. I've done it 4 or 5 times this summer, sat down with children who've got to the latter stages of trials but not got a contract, and it's like one of the trying to explain to a 17-year-old or an 18-year-old, you didn't get a contract because the player who's already in the position is already on a contract, and they think you're only a little bit better than him. Trying to explain that to an 18-year-old, they'll just turn around to you and say, that makes no sense. I don't understand it. And it's like, especially when you're
dealing with a lot
with
of politics involved in football too, in those decisions.
I mean, but how can you say to the kid saying, so does the club think I'm better than the guy I was competing against? Yes. So why are they not signing me then? Because the other kid's already on a contract, and because you are a non-UK national, and it's going to be a headache for them immigration wise. That's
it's funny. I've had to sit down. The biggest challenge I have sometimes is sitting down and explaining to a parent, okay, your son is going to move to Brookhouse, and he's going to go there for a period of time, and then he's going to move to mainland Europe to a club, and then he's going to go back to England at some point. Why do I have to move my son from here to there? And then what about his education? His education won't be affected. His education will actually improve. He'll have a broader scope, And if he wants to become a professional footballer, if he wants to be a scientist, then he can stop playing football and go to school.
And the difficult thing for you, Craig, as well, is that you've not only have you got to say to the family, this is what we want to do, but you've also got to say to the family, I need your support at every step of that process. I need your 100% commitment to it, whether that's financially, whether that's in terms of motivation, whether that's in terms of, if you could get the best player in Phoenix, and his family could agree to him to move to the UK for his educational purposes, and to play sport at the highest level he possibly can. But as well as I do that if his mum rings him every day crying, saying I miss you, the kid's going to want to go home.
That's one of the reasons I love Nicola. You met Nicola and
yes,
Shelley. They're really, really good that way. They're tough. They say, come on, get up and go out there and do it. Okay, boys, get yourself organized. See you, have everything. Have a nice day. We'll talk to you.
Yeah. But you need it's like a triangle between the parents, the school, and the play and the student. That's the student needs his parents to buy into the process 100%. The parents have got to trust the process,
exactly.
And because if they don't, the worst case scenario is a sort of and especially when you look at what some of the hardships that if you look at someone like Dwight York or something, coming over from the Caribbean, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever, as a young man, a young boy, really. If his mum had phoned him up and said, "Yeah, Dwight, we miss you as well. Why don't you just come home?" And all that Man United, all that Champions League, all that, none of that would have happened. And that is the hardest thing, is to explain to the parents that there is a process, and that what you're looking for is just unconditional love, unconditional support, and I always say to the parents, look, don't forget, just you're their mum, So when they lose a game, or when they don't get picked for a team, or when they don't get offered a contract or whatever it is, just be their mum, Just let the football people worry about the football stuff, and just you everyone needs a mum. Just help, just support them, let them cry, and that's what happens in terms of different age groups. You know what it's like. If you lose a football match, the 12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds, they cry for half an hour and then they forget about it.
You even have like sometimes even the fathers. They say, "Yes, Craig, we believe in you. Yes, we know you know what you're doing. Yes, you've put in all this effort, time, and money to make sure this happens. And yes, we trust you and believe in you." And then you do what you need to do for them, for the boys, and they say, "You're not communicating with me enough."
Yeah.
What do you mean I'm not communicating? You said I should do what I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing my job.
Yeah.
How am I not communicating with you?
Yeah.
And I've seen so many kids lose track because parents that may not necessarily believe or understand or are willing to take that step, I remember saying to Shelly once, I said, "Shelly, you need to cut the umbilical cord, the emotional umbilical cord. Let him go. Let him fly. Let him fly out of that nest." And I'll tell you, Dante was a really soft. He's still a very, very loving person.
Yeah.
Very soft. And Shelly was banned for 2 years from training. She couldn't come to the training ground. And now they call him Killer because he tackles hard. He's mean, no nonsense, giving directions, organizing his team all the time, and he's getting bigger and bigger. His uncle is 6'7", I think. Yeah, Damien, and he's going to be a real top player. And one of the main keys to that kid's success was the mother's decision to support the process.
Well, if you speak to a lot of the guys about the academy level, like in the UK, and you talk to them about COVID, they'll say that the COVID was awful, but the only good thing was that the parents were banned from the training ground.
That's funny. That one is funny.
It's actually funny because I bet you the kids there are probably sick of us, because every time we have this show, we're calling them up, trying to get them on. So they're always seeing coach, always talking to coach, and
it's good to keep the link.
Exactly.
I think it is that process of what's amazing is when you work with a parent who's got an open mindset as well, So you can have that open dialogue with a dad about just like, look, I'm not being difficult. But I have noticed that your son plays better when you're not here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something we need to look at. I had a situation with a parent a couple of years ago, and the parent was sort of very politely and kindly and nicely, she was asking why her boy wasn't in the squad that she thought he should be in, why he hadn't been elevated to the squad, and so I said, well, look, I'm gonna I'm going to get some footballing. What we tend to do at Brookhouse is provide a lot of data, a lot of data. So I got the interns, the stats, the analysts, the guys who work with us from Loughborough University, De Montfort University. I got them to get some information together, and I got Mickey Adams, who's our technical director. I got Mickey to watch a half of football that this child was playing a game in, and just presented some facts to the parents. So there was 4 50-50s, and he didn't win any of them. There was he received the ball 12 times and he passed it back 9. So there was issues about linking up play and that type of thing. So it's kind of like that. I think there's two sides to it. One, I think, is to deal with to discuss the issue in terms of saying to the parents, that we have to talk about this. And secondly, don't go into the conversation until you've got your facts sorted in terms of, in terms of as long you need to have you need to be able to back up what you're saying. You know what I mean? And so I mean, obviously, if it's a striker and the person saying, and I've had this, the person saying, look, the kid scored 14 goals in 3 games. Why has he not been moved up a squad? Sometimes you have to turn around and say, well, yeah, I think that's a fair point. Go and speak to the manager about it. But it's that balance between I think the being a supportive parent and being a loving parent and a encouraging parent and being maybe a sort of a two. It's a difficult job, but you have to remember that sometimes you're best to leave the professionals to do their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I know it's late there. We've been going around for almost 2 hours.
It's a pleasure
going for. Yeah, it's conversation going for a long time, but I think is it now past midnight there, isn't it? I think now.
Yeah. Lucky. Tomorrow's my lie-in day. I have to go to work early Monday to Friday, and then my son's football training starts at 8:15 on Saturday morning. So tonight was a good night for me because I can have a bit of a lie-in tomorrow. But it's lovely talking to you guys.
Is there anything you want to add to? Is there anything you want to add to our viewers? Or anything?
Just reiterate, if I would just sort of support that the young men the young boys who've come over to us from Phoenix have been a joy to be with, and they've been a joy to work with, and if you're watching this unsure about a future direction in football for your child, I think you could do a lot worse than go and have a chat with Craig. That's my honest opinion. So, and if you would need any information about Brookhouse, it's all online. Have a look, have a read. So, it's wonderful speaking to you guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
Thank you so much, Giles. So
my pleasure. See you guys.
Okay, and we look forward to the continued partnership, and also with the other 3 joining you shortly. We're doing all the paperwork as quickly as possible. Want to make sure they can fly out. So
they'll be very welcome. So we look forward to seeing them. We wish them a safe trip over. And if you're watching, lads, Thierry and Whisper and Jade, then we'll be expecting you. So get everything sorted. Get on the plane.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Giles. Lots of love,
guys. All the best.
Bye bye.
All right.
This was a good show. Let's see if we can answer some questions and then we get out of here.
So Giles, he's the director of Brookhouse College, or
he's the head of Brookhouse.
Okay, that was one question there. Let's see here. Where were we?
What's this one? One of the biggest problems: physical fitness. Look at the English players in the Reggae Boy squad. Then you look at the local players' physique, man against boy. But when you look at Phoenix players, you'll realize that we're beasts because we train all year round. So
exactly.
You look at a Dante or a Whisper or a Xander Bittnell or a Duvey, they're monsters. Putty, he's cut, ripped, like they're all tall, powerful, skilled, supple.
Let's see. No McGee for the World Cup. I thought he was called up. Maybe he wasn't part of the squad this time.
I think he was called up, but I don't know what happened. I'll find out.
It would be good if our region have a U20 and U17. Well, we do have CONCACAF championships for those levels, and we just had a CFU tournament as well. So there are youth tournaments. They just don't get as big of a draw.
Not just that, but the youth tournaments, the players don't prepare properly for the youth tournaments. The under 15 didn't train. They had maybe 1 or 2 training sessions before they went. Threw them together, and the recruitment process was also horrible. We had 5 to 6 players starting on our team that went and beat Aston Villa's U18 that were able and had the age to play in this team, and they weren't called. And then when we took them the day before we left, just for them to see them, they were in. Yes, we'd love to have them come, but at that point, it's too late.
Too late.
We're already booked to go. We're going. So
the future is bright for Jamaica. I think this type of discussions today is exactly what's needed, and it's exciting to see things actually happening. So it's really exciting to see how things go.
Hi, Tashawn. Tashawn, it's funny, Tashawn.
Here?
Yeah, Tashawn, right, was he knew he was with us from the start. He knew all the players.
Yeah.
He said to me one day when he saw the players play up at Stonehill, and I want to say this back to Tashawn. He said, "You're never going to be able to hold on to these players."
Really?
Yeah, Harborview or any of those clubs are going to come and take them away. And proved you wrong, didn't I? We stuck together. The Phoenix can never die. Phoenix leave no man behind. We stuck together, Yeah.
This is the only good football agent I know is Craig Butler. I think there's not many agents who are willing to do shows like this and really try to
share. No, they don't share very much.
Cyan Hall says, I thought Leon was supposed to be healthy for the World Cup. He's important to Jamaica's chance. Time to get the fitness up, yoga, massage, chiropractor to go fit in. I mean, he is.
He's 100% now, but he's gonna play he has to play in the Chelsea game first, and then he's gonna be available after that. So we just wanted to make sure that he was, he didn't fly all the way back to Jamaica again, get cramped up, and let him start playing, build up the muscles. He's ready to go.
Yeah. Courtney Buchanan says Theodore Wimmer has service time. It's for us. Well, service time. I mean, this is always brought up every stream and every show that we have. I think we'll see how he does. I think this is probably going to be his proof of work. It's going to be this World Cup qualifying. I don't see them doing a move tomorrow, right? But we'll see how things go the next couple games. I mean, like you mentioned, last Gold Cup, we started seeing some more of a system. He's been in the post now for, I think, 4 years, 5 years, around there, maybe a bit less.
Maybe more, yeah. More actually, because he was there in the squad when the German was there.
Oh, I see.
But he came in. I'm 53 years old, I think. I think I'm stuck on 53. I was born in 1968. Yeah, but I'm still a kid at heart.
Yeah.
I still like to train with the kids, and then my knees get damaged, and then I have to rest for a week. And I like to play pool. I like to play video games, table tennis. I'm the champion. I can beat Leon every time. And Travis too. And Sharky. I can beat all of them.
All Sports says Dante got big and getting better. He did look like he's
huge. He's getting bigger.
Yeah. We just answered the Leon questions. Love the dedication. Oh, this was to Shane. Same. He said right on point. Love the dedication. So replying to what you said.
Yeah.
What are your plans regarding expansion of the youth academy in Jamaica? I would love to see an academy in each country, or country or county. Maybe it means country. I'm not sure.
Well, what we're doing right now is we have a partnership with Mona High School. We're going to continue to build. There have been a lot of more people wanting to come to the academy. We want to try and start to franchise it out, the model of development, put it in also in Trinidad with Brent Sancho, and we were speaking also with Barbados FA, the Barbados FA, and
Randy Harris was the president.
And we're currently partnering with someone in St. Mary that we're going to be building out some fields and setting up the academy there. Mm-hmm. And so we're trying to move to where we have academies with a partnership, a corporation with a school that will help to get the education component going, whilst not sacrificing the football and working together, so that they can train in the mornings, go to school until like 3 in the afternoons, and then train again in the evenings, and then have a tutor that's going to work with the players, because a lot of the players need tutoring. Mm-hmm. They need help. But we'll do what we have to do.
I think that's pretty much it. What are your thoughts? I guess there are some late changes. And overall, what are your thoughts on the?
Don't think you should. You're 1-1. I don't think you should pull out your holding midfielder, but that's just my opinion. I would not have done that. But your holding midfielder is the anchor, the guy who's there doing the work. And if you have a 1-1 against Mexico, it is not rocket science. You don't move him. It's like with Ayo. Ayo is my central midfielder.
Yeah,
he played probably 99%. Of all the games we played over there. I pull everybody else, but I'm not pulling him.
Yeah.
Especially
if the game is that.
Yeah, 1-1. You pull your holding mid. That was a blunder. But look, we live and we learn. You think Tapa is going to make that mistake again? I hope not.
Yeah.
Because he would have learned from the mistake, What's important is how he's going to do in the game tomorrow.
Yeah.
He has Mikel Antonio is available tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to watch.
So it'll be good to see how he works in with the team. And then when we get everybody together on the same page, what I'd love for Tapa to do and the GFF to do is the Phoenix versus Aston Villa game is online, and a lot of the footage against the Crystal Palaces and all of those teams are online. And if you listen carefully to what the head of the academy at Crystal Palace said he loves the system that we play, our style of play, our attacking football, and our finishing. So if you look at the scores with the Aston Villa game, our game was 7-4.
Yeah.
We know that with the way we play, we're going to get scored on.
Yeah.
But we also know that we're going to outscore the opponents because we're going to kill them running at them. So I think, look at the system that we played and see how we can incorporate it, not just at the senior level, but more so at the junior level. And I'm willing to share it because for me, it's more important to have all the players in Jamaica doing.
We should dedicate maybe next week or one of the next weeks just to watch that game and then do a little tactic session on how they came back to win 7-4. If you guys want, like Craig said, our last video was the full match, so you can go click on our channel and you'll see the full match. You get the full 90 minutes.
And you'll see our players, the quality of the football. It's like
and this is what I love. It's we have this show and you're talking so much about what we're doing and what you're doing and how you're doing things. And now there it is. It's the evidence is there. Go watch it. It's great quality, great camera work and everything. So it's a testament to do what you say, right?
Yeah. All sports on the Aston Villa game was lovely to watch. Fluent football, the press, awesome. Yeah, and you think, right? Not one of those players have been called to any youth football in Jamaica in the history. Whisper is 15 years old. Dante is 15 years old. Theo is 14 years old. Demo is 15 years old. Off-key is 12 or 13. They could have all played.
Yeah.
But let's hope that this can move forward. We can move forward as a nation. I just want to big up our parents that have supported me all this time and believed. Don't stop believing. I know what I'm doing. And I love you. And I love your kids. And I want them to succeed. nothing makes me happier than to see them succeed. Yeah. And we work together and we continue working together, big up Richie, Odell Richards, big up to Nicola Bicknell, big up to Shelley McFarlane, big up to Jade's mom, and all of them. Duvey's father, he contacted me. That's Don Hugh Mitchell, his father, and said how pleased he is that the kid has developed so well. And there's not a lot that people can do to really thank you when you're really spending a lot of time, effort, money, your week. Sometimes I'm not feeling so well and I still go on. The thanks really is in the loyalty, and trusting me.
And showing up.
And showing up. Don't stop trusting me because you hear this or somebody's trying to get in your head. Just believe I know what I'm doing and I want the best for you and your kid. There's nothing when I can look and I can say Leon bought his mother a house in Cherry Gardens, and that's the first thing I made him do once we did the transfer. The first thing, so come,
buy your mama house.
I'm going to go and I'm going to find the house and I'm going to buy the house. I'm going to buy the furniture. I'm going to put the furniture in there down to the last floor. And then he bring her in. And he did it.
That must have been
and for him, it was great, and for me it was great because what Leon's mother did, which many, many other mothers and parents didn't do and messed up their kids, is that she trusts me. She said, Craig, do what you need to do. Other parents, I want to take him to another club. The JFF don't like you. You don't talk to me enough. You don't tell me enough things. I don't. If people know me, once I'm off of this, you ask anybody, I don't talk. I go and sit down over there. And my brain is working.
Just working,
thinking how we can make it happen, how we can improve you. The better I can make you in doing this, gives me more rest.
That's true. Exactly.
The better
That's
what
I'm always saying.
The better I can make Casey or even Whispers that, because he comes to the training and he's part of the coaching staff actually. And he runs the training and he sees what I do and he understands what I do. What if something happens to me? You can't run it. And money isn't everything. When you leave this world, and that's what everybody must leave the world a better place. You must, I remember watching this movie. It was you ever watch that movie Troy?
I love that
Brad
movie.
Pitt. And the little boy comes in and he says I think he says something to Troy, to Achilles. He says, aren't you scared or something like that? What did he say?
I remember. I know Senior talking about it.
And he said, that's why no one will remember.
That's why they know your name.
No one will remember.
It's like they said he's 8 foot tall. Aren't you scared?
Aren't you scared? It says he's 8 foot tall. It says, that's why no one will remember your name. You have to be brave.
Smart,
And for me, I always think about that.
That was the first movie I watched when I came to Jamaica. Well, I watched it again. But
it's good. For Phoenix players, they have to watch the movie 300, Braveheart, Troy, Rob Roy, and there's one other one, Avatar. And the Avatar one, there's a deeper message in that movie, Avatar. It's about conserving and protecting your world, and fighting for your world, fighting for the animals, fighting for nature. Because if we don't fight for nature, then what will happen is things like this pandemic comes because you upset the balance, the balance of life, So anyway, that's too much philosophy and madness for you guys.
Well, I'm sure I enjoyed talking about that, but I think it's probably one of our longest shows. It's been 2 hours. So, but thank you to Brent Sancho. He was great to have in the beginning. Seems like that was last week. And thank you for Dante for coming on late. And thank you to Giles Williams.
Giles is the head of Brookhouse, and we have a formal partnership with them. 6 of our top players are going to go there and then adapt some more, play some more, learn some more, get tutoring, get support, get everything that they need to do, play in their teams, travel into mainland Europe a couple times as well, exposing. And then, as you can see, several of the players from there have moved on to contracts with Genk and Genk and all of that, and then move into mainland Europe, into Belgium. And then because professional football is about movement. You have no choice. If you want to move up, like how people move up in work, in their job, you start off as a janitor and then, you work your way up.
Yeah.
It's the same in football, but unfortunately, you work your way up through the clubs. Bigger club.
And you're always fighting to get
spot. And so it's really, as much as the players are good, as much as the players are good, it's key to have parents that support the process and don't waver.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Big up.
Leave it there.
Enjoy the lockdown.
Please like, share, subscribe, watch the match tomorrow. I'll be there. You'll be there too, right?
I'll
be there in stadium.
If Mr. Ricketts ensures that I get my accreditation, he promised me to do it, Mr. Ricketts. I hope that I have it as a major scout and agent and manager. That you would ensure that I'm in the stadium to watch future potential players.
Exactly. All right, guys. Have a good night. Goodbye.